The sound of gunfire echoed through the dense forest, the air thick with smoke and the scent of burning wood. Sergeant Ethan Collins lay in the mud, his chest rising and falling in shallow, labored breaths. His comrades had long since scattered, some retreating to the safety of the distant hills, others lying in positions they would never rise from. Ethan, though, had not been so lucky. A sniper's bullet had found its mark, tearing through his side and leaving him bleeding and broken on the battlefield. Time had blurred. The pain was overwhelming, a constant throb in his chest and limbs, but Ethan had long ago learned to push through pain. This time, however, it was different. This time the pain was too much to ignore. Every inch of his body screamed, begging for relief. His thoughts were foggy, a haze that seemed to stretch endlessly before him, but one thing was clear. He knew he wouldn't survive this. He had always known this day would come. He had spent years in the military, each mission, each battle, reminding him that war was unforgiving. His body had seen too much, his soul had been scarred beyond repair. But there had always been hope, hadn't there? Hope that the next mission would be the one that brought him home. Hope that the war would end, that the fighting would cease, and he would finally return to the quiet life he had dreamed of. But now, with his blood soaking into the earth beneath him, all that remained was the painful realization that he had given everything for a cause that seemed so distant now. The faces of the men he had fought alongside flashed through his mind. His brothers in arms. They were gone, many of them never to return home. And in the end, it was just him, alone in the wilderness, waiting for the inevitable. His hand reached for the small photo tucked inside his jacket. The edges were worn, the colors faded from years of carrying it with him. It was a picture of a woman, her smile radiant, her eyes filled with love and warmth. Emma, his wife. She had been the reason he had enlisted in the first place, the reason he had survived all those long, brutal years. She was his home, his heart, the dream that kept him going through the darkest days of war. But now, all that remained were memories. He could almost hear her voice, soft and soothing, calling out his name, asking him to come home. But home was a distant memory, a place that had long since slipped beyond his reach. His grip on the photo tightened as if holding onto it could somehow bring her closer. "Please, just a little longer," he whispered to no one, his voice barely audible over the sounds of distant gunfire. He could feel the blood trickling from his side, pooling around him in the dirt. His strength was fading, but his mind remained sharp, clinging to the memories of the life he had once known. His thoughts wandered back to the day he had first met Emma. It had been years ago, before the war, when life had seemed simple. He had been just a young man, full of dreams and ambitions, and she had been the bright spark that lit up his world. Their love had been a slow burn, a connection that had grown deeper with every passing year. They had spent their days exploring the countryside, talking about the future, about what they wanted from life. Ethan had promised her that one day, he would return from the war, and they would build a life together. He had never imagined that promise would be broken, that the war would take so much from him, and that he would never have the chance to fulfill it. Tears welled in his eyes as he thought of her, the pain in his chest intensifying. He wanted to see her one last time, to feel the warmth of her touch, to hear her laughter, but he knew that was a wish that would never be granted. "Emma, I'm sorry, I never wanted to leave you. I wanted to come home." The sound of footsteps broke through his thoughts, and his eyes fluttered open. He could barely focus, his vision blurring at the edges, but through the haze, he saw a figure approaching. A soldier, a medic perhaps, or one of his comrades. The figure moved toward him, but as it drew closer, Ethan's heart sank. The soldier was not real. It was a ghost, a memory, a trick of his fading mind. The ghost of his former platoon sergeant Ryan appeared before him, his face as it had been in the days before the battle, before death had taken him. Ryan had been the one to train him, the one who had taught him everything he knew about being a soldier. He had been a mentor, a brother, someone Ethan had looked up to. "Ethan, you've done your duty. You fought with honor. It's time to rest." "I couldn't save them. I couldn't save you, Ryan. I couldn't save them. You don't need to. They're at peace now, Ethan. And soon you will be too." Ethan's breathing grew more labored, the pain more intense, but there was a strange sense of peace settling over him. His thoughts were clearer now, and he realized that he had given everything for something that was greater than himself. He had served his country, protected his comrades, and fought for a cause that, while it had cost him everything, had also shaped him into the man he had become. But in the end, all he wanted now was to go home, to be with Emma, to hold her one last time, to tell her how much he loved her. That was the only thing that mattered. "Ethan, it's time to come home." The last breath left his body in a soft exhale, and Ethan Collins, soldier, husband, and hero, was finally at peace.